Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Damiano B. Centola. Welcome to I Choose the Call. One of the greatest dangers in this generation is not always open evil. Sometimes it's distraction. Because distraction does not always look dangerous. It looks normal. It looks harmless. It looks entertaining. It looks busy. It looks productive. But many lives are being slowly weakened, not because people have rejected the truth, but because they no longer can sit still enough, long enough to hear it. That is serious. Because a distracted soul is easy to shape. A distracted mind is easy to guide. A distracted heart is easy to empty. And a distracted life can drift very far from God without even realizing it. This is why so many people feel scattered. They are constantly moving, constantly watching, constantly checking. They are constantly consuming, constantly reacting, and yet inwardly they are growing weaker. Not because they lack access, but because they lack stillness. And without stillness, many things are lost. Discernment is lost. Depth is lost. Attention is lost. Prayer is lost. Clarity is lost. Conviction is lost. Because some things can only be heard when the noise dies down. Some things can only be seen when the soul becomes quiet. And the enemy knows that. Oh boy, does he know that. So he does not always need to destroy you through crisis. Sometimes he only needs to keep you distracted enough that you never go deep. You never examine. You never pray. You never reflect. You never listen. You never face the conditions of your inner life. That is why distraction is dangerous. It keeps a person on the surface, always near things, never inside them, always informed, never transformed, always stimulated, never rooted, always occupied, never awake. That is where many people are living now. They wake up to noise. They move through noise. They end the day in noise. And then they wonder why peace feels distant. But peace does not grow well in constant disturbance. And wisdom does not usually shout. Truth has a voice, but you cannot hear it clearly when everything inside you is crowded. That is why the modern battle is often a battle for attention. Because whatever holds your attention will slowly shape your inner world. What you look at, what you repeat, what you feed on, what you keep returning to, all of it is forming you. That is why attention matters. Because attention is not small. Attention is agreement. Attention is direction. Attention is where part of your life is going. So if your attention is constantly stolen, your strength is constantly leaking. And if your strength is constantly leaking, your spiritual life becomes weaker. Then it should be. This is why some people do not need more content. They need more stillness. They do not need more stimulation. They need more clarity. They do not need more voices. They need to hear the voice of God again and again. Because when life becomes overfilled with distraction, even important things start feeling distant. Prayer feels harder. The word feels heavier. Conviction feels weaker. Worship feels thinner. and the soul starts adjusting to a lower state without even noticing it. That is how distraction works. It slowly trains you to live without depth. It trains you to avoid silence, trains you to fear stillness. It trains you to need constant input just to feel normal. But that is not freedom. That is dependence. That is inward slavery, hidden behind activity. Because a person who cannot be still is often being ruled by something deeper. Restlessness, fear, escape, emptiness, unhealed thoughts, unfaced wounds, unexamined desires. And instead of bringing those things before God, many people run from screen to screen, task to task, sound to sound, trying to outrun what silence would reveal. But silence is not always your enemy. Sometimes silence is mercy. Sometimes silence is where truth finally catches up to you. Sometimes silence is where God shows you what all the noise had been covering. That is why stillness matters, not as a ritual, but as a recovery of the soul, a return of attention, a breaking of inner fog, a place where the heart can be reached, the mind can be cleared, the voice of God can be heard again. Because when distraction rules a life, that life may remain active, but spiritually shallow, busy, but weak, moving, but lost, surrounded, but empty. And that is happening to many people now. They are not always in rebellion. They are simply too distracted to notice what is happening to them, too distracted to test what they hear, too distracted to confront compromise, too distracted to pray deeply, too distracted to wake up. And that is why the battle matters. The enemy does not always win by direct attack. Sometimes he wins by fragmentation, by scattering attention, by breaking focus, by keeping the soul mentally crowded and spiritually thin. Because a fragmented life is harder to anchor. A scattered mind is harder to steady. A distracted heart is harder to lead into deep truth. So ask yourself, what keeps interrupting my peace? What keeps stealing my attention? What do I keep turning to instead of turning to God? What has made silence feel uncomfortable to me? What has trained me to live in constant noise? Those are not small questions, people. They expose patterns. They expose appetite. They expose bondage. Because whatever you cannot put down may be mastering you. And whatever constantly keeps you from depth is not harmless. This is why you must guard your attention, guard your ears, guard your eyes, guard your inner life, guard what fills your atmosphere. Because if you do not, the world will gladly fill you with noise and call it normal. But normal is not always healthy. And constant stimulation is not the same thing as life. Sometimes the strongest step a person can take is to become quiet again, to step back, to cut the noise, to slow down, to pray, to listen, to let the soul breathe, to let truth return to the center. Because once your attention is healed, many things start becoming clearer. You see what matters. You hear what is true. You feel what is off. You notice what has been draining you. You recognize what has been shaping you. And that is when real change begins. Not when the world gets quieter first, but when you stop agreeing with the noise. So the question is not only what is distracting you. The deeper question is this: what is distraction keeping you from? What truth have you not faced? What calling have you not heard? What condition of your soul have you not examined? Because if distraction has become your lifestyle, you may look full on the outside and still be starving within. Do not let noise become your master. People, listen to that. Do not let noise become your master. If this spoke to you today, stay with me next week. Subscribe to I Choose the Call. Turn on the notification bell so you will be reminded when the next video goes live. And share this with someone who needs to hear it. My videos come on every Tuesday and Friday at 4 o'clock. That is Pacific Standard Time. So once again, as I always say, stay in prayer, stay in faith, and stay close to God. Ciao for now.
I choose the call. I choose the call. I choose